The Hellstorm missile is a good choice for a low to medium score streak in Black Ops 3. It was perhaps too powerful back in the beta for the game when the individual missiles locked onto players and tracked them with incredible accuracy, making the best strategy to divide the missile very high in the air to lock onto enemies across the whole map, but that functionality was nerfed into oblivion for the full game. After a while though, they buffed it again to reach a happy medium of the two versions, and as it stands it is a fair but useful score streak. It is easily compared to what could be seen as its rival, the Lightning Strike, being another air-to-ground bombing type score streak that is only worth 50 fewer points. The Lightning Strike can be very useful to quickly call something in on objectives like domination flags, but the versatility of a Hellstorm missile and the ability to seek out players anywhere on the map often makes it more deadly in modes like Team Deathmatch. It should be noted, if you're going for kill count, it's much more worthwhile to go a bit further for something like the Cerberus, but that isn't what we're talking about here today. What I want to do in this video is provide a ton of strategies that should make you better at using, and especially defending against, the Hellstorm missile. These strategies go together and counter each other in a way. There are many effective ways to counter the Hellstorm that I'll show off, but don't worry that me sharing that information is somehow going to make the Hellstorm completely useless, because if you're using it the way I recommend, you probably won't get countered in this way. And also the benefit of having a somewhat small and exclusive audience here is that I can share stuff and know that I'm basically sharing these tips with a group of friends, rather than changing the entire metagame by making a video. That isn't going to happen. First off, how I suggest you be using the Hellstorm missile, and I'll keep it brief because you might be thinking, yeah, I know how to use the Hellstorm missile, the controls are on the screen when you call it in. But the main thing I want to suggest is that you should use the boost right away. As soon as you call it in, before you can even visually confirm that there are enemies to target, I boost right away. And I will admit this is partially because of having a short attention span. I want to get on with it and get back on the ground. A better reason though is that the longer you float up in the air and that big red targeting circle is on the enemy's minimap, the more likely they are to get into a building and get under cover. That's much more likely to happen than if you wait around hoping for more people to run out of a building and give you a target. The final reason though is the biggest reason of all, and it is what will lead into the second topic. The longer you float up there in the air without boosting and without deploying the storm of missiles, the much more likely it is that you will be shot down by someone like me. In this scenario, some people would choose to run into the building or to try to boost away from the crowd and away from the danger. Well, no need. Hellstorm denied. Not many people try to shoot them down because I think a surprisingly small minority of players even know how easy it is, especially if they don't use the boost early. I have a metric ton of clips of shooting down Hellstorm missiles to show in this video that I gathered in just the last week or two. My success rate of doing so is probably something like 80 or 90%. It isn't like a crazy trick shot to shoot them down, it's a very practical strategy. It'll often save your life, your teammate's life, and it'll get you a nice 125 points on top. I've been doing it, well, I was going to say since the first couple weeks of the game, but I'm pretty sure I was shooting them down the beta too. It's just one of the first things I tried. I didn't think it was worth an entire video back then, but every time I saw someone controlling their missile slowly and just shot another one, that was another point on the board of, okay, maybe I should make it. So it isn't that hard if you've ever tried it. Just aim for the tip of the missile and spray a little, maybe a couple bursts. It does depend on what weapon you have, of course. If you have an SVG 100, you probably want to run for cover instead of risking the one shot you'll have to take it out, or like a shotgun. Obviously that isn't going to happen. But if you have any practical SMG, LMG, rifle, even a pistol, you can take out a Hellstorm. I don't know how much technical health it has, but it has to be something like 1, because you don't ever have to shoot it more than once. I've never gotten a Hitmarker on a missile. I suppose most people who don't know they can do this have just never tried because they've been trained to see that enemy targeting symbol on their radar and think back to the first time we saw anything like this, the Predator missile. No, not again. Not me. They always go for me. Fire! But that's not really the case in this game. You can shoot back. The reason it's fairly easy is because the missile is a huge target, even though it's really far away. I think it was really huge in Black Ops 2 as well, which is something you wouldn't know. If you've never seen someone bring the missile all the way down to the ground without deploying it, it's pretty funny, actually. I went into a private match just to show you that it is comically large compared to something like the Modern Warfare Predator missiles. You would think it might pack a bit more firepower than it does for being that large. Alright, well, if you didn't already, now you know that you can shoot these things down with a wide variety of weapons without too much trouble, which is why it's a good idea to boost right away when you use these things. You can see in some of these clips like this one just how easy it is to shoot a missile when they aren't speeding up. I can miss a few times and still have all the time in the world to take it out. And you want to burst the missile as early as you reasonably can as well. Don't leave that too late. You don't want to float up there for ages and get taken out. There are some other things you should know relating to destroying these missiles. One, you can lock onto them with the Black Cell Launcher, and you will almost always get the 125 points for destroying it, but unless the user is very slow, you probably won't be in time to actually stop the missile from going off. So even though you won't destroy the missile in time before it deploys all the smaller missiles, you still get the 125 points. And what I think's happening there is the black cell locks onto what I will call the camera on the missile, essentially the invisible hitbox, which is what the person who's controlling it sees through. And you'll know from using a Hellstorm missile that after you deploy the swarm of missiles, the camera sticks around for an extra second or so before fading away. And that is what the black cell is targeting. Even if the missiles are already deployed, it can still hit that and destroy the invisible hitbox camera and give you the 125 points. And you can actually do this with a weapon as well. Hopefully this is some more niche information that not everyone knows, so even if everything so far has not been interesting for you, this might be. I'll show a couple examples of doing it if a Hellstorm is deployed somewhere else on the map and you're too late to stop it, but it didn't go for you so you're not dead. Like here, I failed the first shot because I'm using this terrible reticle for some reason, but even after they deployed it, I can just kind of mentally track where the large missile would be if it kept going. You can probably imagine it, just shoot a bit under the smoke trail where it was deployed, and you'll often get the 125 points for doing pretty much nothing. And that situation is more common than you might think, so it's a good thing to keep in mind. It'll help you rank up, help you get score streaks, all that stuff. Might as well fire a couple shots at Hellstorm missiles. If you're already in a building, I wouldn't recommend running out of the cover to try to shoot down a missile, because despite it being fairly easy, it is certainly possible to miss and fail, especially if the person using it boosted right away or deployed early. Anyway, I would consider that the core of the video. The biggest thing to remember is that you shouldn't be too afraid to shoot back at a Hellstorm missile. I will throw in a couple other bits of information and strategies, one being that EMP grenades can yield some success, and I will show 4 examples of that happening right now. They behave very weirdly sometimes. It's almost as if instead of having a spherical radius, they have a really tall cylinder that stretches into the sky, because if you throw an EMP grenade under a Hellstorm, even if it's really high up, it will be destroyed, like you've been seeing. And in this example, it was the scenario where I got the points for destroying it after the missiles were deployed. It didn't look like any of the smaller missiles were affected by the EMP. I think it was just the large invisible camera hitbox I talked about that got destroyed there. EMP grenades are pretty weird sometimes. If you don't know, the same thing applies to taking out rolling thunder drones. You can actually get a free 150 points just by throwing one in the general direction of a rolling thunder. There are some weird vertical properties to the EMP grenade, but I've never been able to take out a counter UAV with one. When you throw it at a rolling thunder, you also get the all clear medal, which is not supposed to happen. The game just doesn't know what to do with you. It doesn't expect you to ever be EMPing a rolling thunder. The all clear medal is supposed to represent putting down a power core to destroy all of the enemy rolling thunder drones. They had to do that, of course, so that you get 150 points for doing that instead of the 1800 points or whatever it would be normally. Instant mothership. EMP grenades are pretty crazy at taking out a lot of stuff, but I won't get into that here. This is one time where the EMP grenade was a bit too far to the left, I guess, so it didn't work, but he took way too long to deploy, so he still gets wrecked. Alright, that will be all for the full Hellstorm guide. Hopefully, regardless of what you knew before or how you used it before, you learned something new or interesting, and like I said at the beginning, I may have made it look like the shooting the missile tactic is OP, and it makes the missile really vulnerable and really bad, but you don't have to worry about that. It isn't like everyone will be shooting down the missile now if they weren't before, and if you boost and deploy fairly quickly, you shouldn't have to worry about it too much. This should just have you be better equipped for all the other people who don't boost right away and don't know that they should be feeling pretty vulnerable up there in the air. Who knows, they may change this at some point and add some more health to the missile, like 50 maybe, so that you have to land a couple shots, just like they buffed the health on the rolling thunder drones a while ago. That was very much so needed so that you couldn't spray them all down with a dingo and get a mothership. Anyway, we'll end the video here with a nice and clean quad. Good luck using and avoiding the Hellstorm missiles out there, and I will catch you next time.